okay, so I didn't kiss anyone until I was 21, which is fairly consistent with everything else I've said. And I've still only kissed 6 people. I keep trying to count Manny Jacinto in The Good Place, but he had to kiss me on camera and it was written into a script. So he's told me I can't count that one.
He's reached out to you personally. He's like,
he's had his lawyer contact me and asked me to stop saying it. So I was 21 when I had my first love, but my first heartbreak came before I was able to fall in love. You know, because you fall in love whether it's requited or not. When you're younger, and I think I was so in love with the boy that worked at my local video store. And I thought I was so cool with it. You know, I used to go in several times a day to rent videos within times where I couldn't have watched the film because I was there an hour ago, and I thought he was cool and he was totally not wise to it, you know, and I was just there casually, and I would hang out for such a long time that it makes me want to jump off my balcony now thinking about it. And he was 18 and I was 14. So I had no right to be bothering him. It's not legal, you know, it just puts him in a really weird position. And he was so kind to me and would tolerate the fact that I was endlessly there. I would walk back and forth. I would find reason to go to the store. That it was like my house was on one side, then the video store, then the supermarket, and I fucking kept that supermarket in business. Just going back and forth 100 times a day. No one knew what the fuck was going on or how much I must be eating. But just to be able to see if he was there. So I feel like he was one of the first big human loves of my life, to the point where I started working at the video shop even after he left in case he came back, which is so
wow. So many steps.
Stayed
so
there
many
for years.
conclusions.
Yeah.
Wow.
He never came back.
I was going to ask.
I can appreciate that it was just a long, slow, dull ache that is the heartbreak, but was there a moment where the other had to address the elephant in the room, or did he never?
I saw him with a girl. And okay. I was so crushed. I was so crushed that I feel like I played Nintendo 16 hours a day for the entire summer holiday and lost 30 pounds in Heartbreak. Just
so that's how you do it.
That was it. It's some people do Ozempic, some people do the Mario and Luigi diet. But I thought it was the great breakup, and all the songs that I'd heard were about that and about me, and all the movies, and I was like, that was my one shot for love. And so that was my first memorable, I lost my mind breakup over someone I'd never even kissed. And then my first love was all my friends were getting really deeply concerned that I'd gotten to 21 without kissing anyone. And so I got 20 separate copies of the 40-Year-Old Virgin given to me by friends. And one of my friends charitably kissed me after I turned 21. And then I really liked it. So I just kept kissing him for 2.5 years. And he was my first love, and he was great.
Did it really start as a charity? Was he like, okay, Jameela, you haven't had your first kiss. I'm going to do it.
Kind of, yeah.
Wow.
He was just we were sitting on a bench and he was like, we're going to do this now because otherwise you're never going to do it. And kissed me. And it was the best kiss ever because I was an adult and he was an adult and he was 8 years older than me. So he really knew how to kiss. And it was bloody brilliant. Couldn't get enough. Became a kissing maniac.
2.5 years later. Wow.
I love that.
You now have a podcast series where you're addressing kind of what what's the broadest way you could talk about bad dates? You're talking about like dating culture, you know?
We're talking about the silliest parts of dating culture, the most vulnerable extremes we will go to in pursuit of love or sex.
Okay,
fingering,
right.
you know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the clarification.
I just want to take
that term.
I think fingering's making a big
School.
comeback, and I just I feel like we need more fingering representation.
But wait a second. First of all, what do you know? You've kissed 6 people. I just want to say I
have my ear to the streets, kids.
And
I'm telling you, fingering's on its way back.
Is your finger on the pulse, so to speak?
Yeah. I mean, it never left.
But no. So I actually don't want to. It was a joke, but I don't want to shame you at all for the number that you've said. I actually, I'm interested in how a person in your position has said publicly, spoken publicly about, having had a certain kind of romantic and sexual posture, which I think is, to me it's refreshing. I think there's a lot of posturing with a lot of people in our position where you're sort of, I know that I grew up feeling the pressure to constantly engage, and relationships were the place where men go to die, and there's just something I think really nice about what you're saying. So, and I've heard some of the way that you've shared it in different ways. And of course, comedy is the best garment to don for anything, right? But I just feel like...
Get to the fucking point. What do you mean? I don't understand.
Sometimes...
I love you.
No, because you joke... Here's the thing. You joke about it in two different ways. You joke about it... I think sometimes, do you carry shame about this? About
what? About the low body count?
Yeah, and yes.
Yeah. I think I feel like I don't feel like, oh no, I want that now, but I do feel like I could have had more fun if I'd been a cooler person. Is the truth. Right. So I feel like I would have liked to have, I don't think I've ever been someone who would have enjoyed objectifying myself personally, but that's also because I have so much deep childhood sexual trauma stuff. So I think that was never in the cards for me. I'll still wear the little skirt or the busty top, but occasionally. But generally I feel quite protective of myself in that way. I don't do sex scenes. In fact, I was supposed to audition for the most recent season of your show, and the character was supposed to be quite sexy, and I pulled out of the audition because I'm so shy about anything sexy that I can't. And then you fucking came out and was like, yeah, I'm not doing sex scenes anymore because I'm just going to protect myself. And I was like, fucking hell, I didn't even know that was a boundary that we could draw. That's fantastic. But then I was like, I should have gone and done the fucking show.
Season 5, Jameela, is waiting for you.
Season 5. Yeah. You is no longer sexy. It's
if you
not
need
a sex
someone
show
asexual,
anymore.
If you need an asexual character to murder, you just bring me in. But I can't even watch sex scenes in films. I can't even not just in the cinema because I'm very worried about what my face is going to do. But I don't think I'm going to start wanking or something. But I just don't know.
Well, in this case, it would be fingering.
I don't know what the right face exactly. I don't know what the right face would be. But even on my own, I have to fast forward through sex scenes because I become so shy about watching other people. So it's not a shame. There's just a general I feel there's an awkwardness around it, is what I would say.
Yeah, sure.
What was really interesting when Penn did come out and say, and, shared what his boundary was around sex scenes, Nava and I were really pouring through all of the comments, and there was a very definite split, but there were a lot of people who were in the similar camp as you, Jameela, and I feel I'm in that too, where they don't enjoy watching sex scenes. And actually fast forward through it, some people were like, I didn't watch season 3 because there was too much sex, which I thought was interesting. It was different from what I expected. I felt that within myself too, and didn't feel like many others would probably relate, but I think a lot more people feel that way.
Yeah, I was surprised though that there was a backlash. I feel like we have not yet evolved to a place where we're allowing men to draw their boundaries as well around objectification and around sex scenes. I saw it happen to the hot chef in Emily in Paris, where he was like, oh, I don't love being this objectified. And everyone was like, fuck you.
You can't say that when you're just the hot chef. You have to be number one. Sorry, hot chef.
It was so insane. And he's such a deep and rounded, lovely person. Same Lucas Bravo, and he had every right to say oh god, people are sending me really sexual DMs, and I think women had a really unexpected. I was very surprised by the reaction, the backlash to that, where it's well, then we're not going to support this guy at all. And I was like, fuck, if you flipped the gender on that, if you flipped the gender on that, I was like, that would be a huge societal problem. But I think I don't know. I think we just haven't. We're still working a lot of shit out socially. And I think that's still an untapped thing. But when you came out with that, and there were people who felt very strongly about the fact that you should be doing sex scenes even if you don't want to, for whatever boundary you have around your marriage, that was just hilarious to me. It was a bit stressful. But I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that.
Can I just say this?
I'm keeping track of who's with me.
Yeah, he's got it's a short list so
You've
far.
Got one.
I've got a few.
But I was going to say, I actually sent Penn this article recently. Quentin Tarantino, and I'd never tracked this, doesn't do sex scenes in his movies. He had one movie where he filmed one, and they asked him about it, and he said, like, one, he's never felt that it's necessary to tell the story, but two, the one time he did it, everyone was so tense on set that he just doesn't like it. Like, it's so uncomfortable to film. And I really liked sort of, because I feel like people in the industry don't like to say that it's a little bit weird. Everyone's like, no, it's just a choreography, it's just a dance. So it's nice to hear some people say, like, you know, it's a little more than that. It makes people nervous.
I feel like
fuck
that guy, but totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Fair. There's other issues with this film.
But I appreciate what you mean.
Yeah.
I am incapable of holding my tongue.
Now
Sorry. So I'm not on Twitter anymore.
I am interested in what your face would look like in a movie theater watching a sex scene, because while Nava was asking that question, you were like, fuming.
Yeah.
You couldn't listen to the question because you heard Quentin Tarantino.
So this is so embarrassing that, like, I've had to kind of learn how to socially condition myself to seem normal for such a long time, and I've actually come up with a face to make while watching a sex scene.
Wait a minute. What's funny is that as you said that, you started to make a face that made me think she hasn't done this as successfully as she thinks she has.
I'm gearing up to the face that I've made. So, like, when I'm in a premiere or something, it's like a friend's film, I can't leave during the sex scene or something. So I was like, sometimes I get trapped in a sex scene, or a sex scene comes and surprises me in a film that I didn't think it was going to happen in. So I've come up with this as... and my elbows come slightly up and just like...
It has a lot of movement to it.
Like, it's the facial expression of,
that's happening.
I also like that this is in it. Sometimes this is even in a theater.
Yeah.
No, this
where
is
the likelihood,
it's everywhere.
But the likelihood of someone else looking at you is low. Right?
But I have occasionally looked at someone else during a movie theatre, because I'm obsessed with looking at other people in movie theatres or at concerts, because I feel like it's one of the only times you see someone's true essence is when they are looking at something else. They're not aware of themselves. I am clearly hyper aware of myself. But they are, like, when my boyfriend is a musician and I don't watch him when he's on stage, which is rude, but I watch the crowd because they look at him. He's very, very talented and clever and cool. Well done him. And they look at musicians with this, like, awe of someone's being able to create something that's, like, elevating them, and they look like little kids, like their mouths are slightly open and the glow of the stage is reflecting back on their lights, and their eyes are like dazzled, and they're not thinking about themselves or their problems, and they're not feeling self-conscious, and they're not thinking about internet likes or anything. They're just all focused on the same one beautiful thing, and I'm obsessed with it. So I think because I'm such a creepy, starer, I'm worried that that's going to come back on me, and I'm going to make some sort of weird pervy face or something, or I'll look horrified or uncomfortable. So I've settled on,
That's interesting. I love that.
I think if you make the vocalization, it's less convincing. Keep the internal.
Thank you. No, that's really
my
helpful.
one. As a person who does a lot of voiceless acting, that's my one note to you, and I know you can take it. You're very talented.
I will take that with me forever.